Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cosmic Crusade podcast. I'm your host Jay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. How is it? What are the vibes? How we feeling? How we doing? What's good? What's new? This week has been insane. This week has just been crazy. This has been like a very rainy, honestly feels like month. It's been nothing but rain, 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 and gray. Like, it's just no sunlight, nowhere. I don't know where it's at. I haven't seen it. I don't know if I believe in it anymore. I don't know how y'all are feeling, but I don't know if I believe in the sunshine anymore. I haven't seen it. I haven't been given the proof. It's crazy, absolutely crazy, but you know, the rain is good for the nature, will bring the flowers, yada yada, but also, it's bleh. It's so bleh. And also, my allergies, it always happens in the springtime for me when we're doing the jumping around. I can't do the jumping around, okay? If we're at 70, we're at 70. Great. If we're at 50, we're at 50. Cool. I can't do the jumping from 70 to 50 and back up, and my body hates it. My body hates it. It's congestion. It's sinuses. It's bad news. That's what it is, okay? But anyways, let's get into life updates. Let me hit you with my little high, low, water buffalo. Let's run through it, babes. Okay, so for the high, I'm getting better. I am recovering from an illness. I originally wanted to film this like last week, like later in the week, but I was dying. And the funny thing is, my boyfriend was dying, and then he like recovered. He was good. It had been like 4 days, and I'm like, okay. So, number one, that was short. Number two, like, you're already back on track, and I'm still feeling fine. I'm still feeling good. And as soon as I said that, the universe said, oh, we missed you? Clock it. Oh my god, I got hit. I got sick, I was on my deathbed with a fucking cold, which is just lovely, you know, but I'm paying my dues and it's before the cruise. So, you know, if I'm getting my sickness out now, go ahead. I don't care. As long as I am healthy when I am on the ocean, baby, that is all that matters to me, okay? So, if we're still giving a little congestion, if we're still giving a little bit of, you don't sound so great, that would be why. That would be what's happening. I definitely feel better. This was like 4 days ago for me now, maybe 5. So, like, we're good. This is on the up and up. This is probably the best I've felt. I can actually breathe out of my nose again, which is crazy. Haven't been able to do that in a hot minute. Ugh. So yes, feeling better, on the road to recovery. That really makes me feel very good, and that is a high for me. Also, I really thought that, like, I take care of myself. I am a healthy guru. I'm an almond mom. Like, I am so healthy. Like, my body won't get hit with the sick. I won't catch the illness. You know, that was my thoughts, but clearly not, number one. But also, number two, I think a bit of that is, like, how quickly you recover, too. Like, from when you're getting sick to when you're feeling better, that time frame is also a sign of health and wellness. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but these are my thoughts, right? Because I have to tell myself that, like, I'm taking care of my body and, like, I shouldn't be on my deathbed. That's all I think, is I should not be on my deathbed. Fruits, veggies, and exercise. What else could you want from me? Come on, grow up. Okay, so high. Let's move on to the low. The low, I don't know. Oh, here's a good low. It's called, it's been raining so much, you know, like I was saying, like the weather has just been not very good to where, like, even if it was good, I don't trust it to, like, do my yard work, you know? So, it kind of grew to be a jungle. Like a jungle. Like, it was ridiculous. When I tell you my mower was clogging every 3 seconds, it's just so thick and so wet, it's like, okay, there's not really much I can be doing here because it has to be done. Like, this is like the one day that we actually have sunshine. Need to be making that happen. I bought a weed whacker, so hopefully that'll help. And especially with, like, the edges and everything, just make it look really nice. But yeah, it took so long. I'm talking days. Like, this was a 2-day ordeal, getting the whole yard cleaned up and everything and, like, mowed back down to normal. I'm like, okay, now as soon as we have a sunny moment, I'm attacking it again because, like, oh, I'm not trying to be George of the Jungle right now. I don't want to live that life. It's not the vibe. My little baby doesn't want to walk in that, you know? Poor Gypsy. But also, that is kind of a water buffalo, too. Even though it hasn't been great, today was kind of sunny. It was kind of okay. So I just took Gypsy out for a ride. You know, we literally just drove around town and went through a bridge and went to the balls, and we were just, like, driving around and vibing around, you know? I'm like, girl, I feel so bad because, like, it's just been so disgusting and I haven't been able to get you out the house. Let's get you out the house, you know? Because as much as we need and deserve the time to get out of the house, so does the babies. So do the dogs. You little pets, you animals, take them outside, you know? I was reading something the other day that was like, that's a part of how dogs familiarize themselves with the area is like through scent, and like scent is a dog's main sense of their 5 senses. That's like the one that they rely on the most. And like, I don't know, it was just cool. It was just talking about how it can, like, the dogs will be able to determine so much through the sense that they're picking up. They can tell who has been there and like when they were there, and that's like a part of like when they know to be missing you as well. Because, like, they don't experience time in the exact linear sense that we do, and, like, they're not gonna understand, like, alright, I'll be home at 5 o'clock. Like, that means nothing to them, you know? They just judge it based off of, like, how prominent your scent is, because when you've left the room, when you've left the home, your scent is just gonna slowly be fading away, and then they know if they're, like, having a hard time smelling you that, like, oh, you've been gone for a long time, or if they're, like, really smelling you, they're like, oh, you're probably just sitting in the living room. So, I don't know, that was really cool lore. That was really awesome. Also, a bonus water buffalo, now listen, before we get into this, I just need you to know that, like, I am very comfortable, I am very secure, and, like, confident within my relationship. Like, we're Gucci, yeah? But, however, I am a dismissive, avoidant attachment. That's me. I am the black cat. Frankie loves to call me the black cat. Baby girl, I do good with some space, you know? It's like that saying that, when they say that distance makes the heart grow fonder, they were saying that about a dismissive, avoidant attachment. Like, that's definitely where that came from, and that's definitely the life that I got to experience this week. Me and my boyfriend just had, like, different schedules, and so we weren't able to see each other all that much, and, like, he was out and he was doing things, and, like, he was staying with other people, and I was out and I was working, you know? Like, our timelines were just kind of opposite there for a couple of days, and, like, oh my god, wow, reborn in love. It's crazy. But, you know, that's just me, you know? If I'm with any one person for such an extended period of time, it's gonna become very, like, routine and very, like, yeah, I know what's going on. I am predicting the situations, I'm understanding and, like, anticipating everything. And then, like, to be in different scenarios, different settings, and, like, with different people, it's all very, like, oh wow, you know? Just variety is the spice of life, and you gotta spice up your life and live your best life. I don't know, bro. Okay, but also, I gotta shout out Lydia and Megan because we were having such good conversations the other night. We were just hanging, you know, vibing. And when I tell you that, like, I always have felt like I am very much so able to just adapt to whatever scenario, whatever situation I'm in. And, like, that very much so applies and is prevalent in, like, the groups of people and, like, terms of the age, yeah? Like, the generations. Like, I can hang with Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z, baby. Gen Alpha. I don't know. I'm giving you side eyes, Gen Alpha. But however, I've always just had this, like, I understand them, you know? I've always been around older people ever since I was a child. And, like, even when I was, like, gaining my independence, I still ended up, like, you know, surrounding myself with people of an older age, you know? My coworkers, whatever. But, like, it just makes me understand generational differences, and especially when it comes to like the humor side of it, right? You know, like one of the classics is, oh, nobody wants to work these days, you know, that whole bit, like classic shit. But then like you have the millennials who are very a good mix of like irony and sarcasm with like a little bit of shade. And then like my generation's humor is very twisted. Gen Z is very self-deprecative and very dark. That's our humor, you know? That was like, I think all of us kind of had this trauma response thing, and like, that's just how we learned to exist. That's our humor was formed and shaped through like crazy experiences that we're going through life, and it's like, what the fuck else are you gonna do but laugh at it, you know? Yeah, but we're just like, sitting there and talking about like different generations, and we're vibing, and then Lydia goes, you know, your generation is the most anxious generation, and I have a theory as to why. And I'm like, oh. I was like, oh, okay, open that gate, Kate, let me know, tell me what it is, honey, what is it, what's the theory, because that's juicy. That tickled my brain. Okay, so what she was saying was that, like, you can be. Your generation is the most anxious, introverted, and avoidant generation because you have the option to. And I was like, whoa, that's good. That's good, and that's true, because think about it. What do you need to leave your house for? Why? You can literally have DoorDash people deliver your groceries. You want friendship, you want to have a connection, phone call, FaceTime, you know, play video games with each other. Like, there's so much of everything that you can just do through the internet that it makes it possible for people to be able to just sort of like hole up and not need anything from the outside world. Aside from like those delivery services and things that are happening, but like they don't have to put themselves in a situation where they have to be in the outside world. And like some people literally live like that, like holed up in their room. It's crazy though. I'm like, yeah, you kind of got a point. And within that, I think it's all kind of connected, you know, to like why so many people can feel anxious and also not wanting to go out at the same time, but also not wanting to go out is making you anxious because then you're feeling like you're stuck and you're trapped and you're holed into your own home. It's I think the psychology term for it's like mental rumination, you know, because it's just like you're sitting there and you're overthinking, and like your brain is like overworking itself to where you're tired, but like you haven't done anything. It's the mental exhaustion more so than like the physical exhaustion, but the mental side of it can be just very overwhelming and overpowering to where you feel like hopeless and like trapped and like just bleh. Just very, I don't have the energy, I don't care, why should I be doing anything? And like that's the kicker. It's just a snowball effect. And that's like, I don't know. There was something that I saw the other day that was like, legit, you need to touch grass. Legit, even if like you just open up your front door and like stand outside for 10 minutes, like it's actual benefits that you get from being outside, which just makes so much sense. I mean, Avi, like everyone's like vitamin D from the sun. Hello. Like an essential vitamin that you need to be able to survive. And like fresh air, naturally filtered by the trees, baby. They love the toxins. They eat it up. Go outside, touch grass, 10 minutes a day, and that's like enough to balance out the brain and like keep everything fresh, keep everything in flow. Yeah, it's crazy, like the slippery slope that is stay inside all day, multiple days, then you don't want to go back outside, and then like you're just stuck. You get into that state of stuck. I mean, I've experienced that definitely too, because like I've had times where like I'm just taking a vacation, but like I'm not doing anything, so it's just like a staycation. So like the first bit of it is like me deep cleaning the shit out of everything, and then like the later bit of it is me just chilling and playing video games back to back. And it's like, yeah, that's legit. That's like I'm chilling and I don't want to like do nothing. Like I'm good. I'll stay chilling, you know? Like, and then it's just the thing of you get into that rumination, that mental rumination of how long is it going to be sustainable to be in that state, because it's not something that's actually going to be able to continuously produce the serotonin like you were going out and doing things, you know? As if you were seeing somebody, you were meeting up for some coffee, you were hanging out, you were going to the park, you know, you're taking your dog on a walk. Like, those things are stimulating enough in small doses, like the 10 minutes, that is all you gotta do. Like, it's just so chill. It doesn't have to be something that's crazy. But yeah, Gen Z, we're introverts because we can be. And that's also a very interesting thing too, like the technology aspect of it, because social media is the grand connector that keeps you, you know, in touch with everything that is going around, like within your circle, but even outside of your circle. Not that you're caring much for that, but once you go to the outer circle of like humanity, you could check in with somebody in Russia. You know, you could learn about Europe. What's Paris up to right now? You can find out those things in an instant live. Like, what's happening this moment, this minute, what's going on over there in that world. Like, we have access to technology that people have never had access to before. Not only that, but I'll say that, like, millennials grew up with technology. But honestly, okay, listen, I think about this all the time. If technology would have stopped right there in like that millennial era, we would have been so good. We would have been so good. Listen, because I'm talking to the point where you had mobile phones. You didn't have like smartphones, no iPhones, like you had a flip phone. Like you could call and you could text, like simple. If we would have stopped there, that would have been enough. Because listen, this is leading into an AI conversation of like, the technology is getting pushed further and further and further and further every minute, every second, every hour, every day. And when does it become too much? When does it become a little crazy? When do we become Wall-E? When do we become like indirect servants to the robots, to the technology? When do we become so like blissfully unaware that there's just like it becomes weaponized incompetence to the degree of which we end up mindlessly relying on technology, in the sense of like, I'm not thinking about it, I'm just living it. I have this thing, I could get this thing to help make my life so much easier. I need to be doing that. And we just keep doing that until Wall-E. So that's crazy. That's wild. But yeah, the different generations, and like Gen Z, really grew up with technology. Like, we grew up in technology, baby, because, like, when we were being birthed into this world, um, like, you had TVs, you had refrigerators, freezers, cars, like, all of that good jazz was widely accessible. Okay, it was pretty, like, the norm. It was pretty modern. It was pretty, you would see every, like, standard American family household have those things. And you had the computer, you had internet. We grew up, we were birthed into the world with internet existing. We were, like, one of the first. So, really crazy for us and, like, our experience with it. And I think that's, like, kind of what shaped us into what we are, really. If you think about it, like, having the technology in the way that we had it, in the timeline that we had it, really molded us to exist how we do today. And you can see that even further with, like, the next generation, with the Generation Alpha, with the kids of now. Like, what they are growing up with is even crazier than what I was growing up with, okay? Because, like, I feel that they have so much more adaptation to technology from an earlier age. I'm talking, like, adolescence. I'm talking, like, your toddlers, okay? Crazy. Toddlers and tablets, baby. Like, it's crazy. It really is, like, a well-used tool in, like, an education standpoint, but it's crazy to see how fast they adapt. You know, how smart these young kids are becoming. Because, I mean, you literally have grandma now who does not know how to open her iPhone, you know, doesn't know how to get onto the internet. And then you have, like, her grandson, and it's just boop, 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 boop. There, you're on Facebook now. Enjoy. But, like, it's crazy because they are growing up with it like that, that they're adapting in a sense of, like, it becomes second nature. Figuring out the technology, working the technology, it's just second nature to them. There's, like, not much struggle at all, if any. I think it's just interesting to see what kind of, like, impacts that will have on people, you know, because, like, you have people who are chronically online, and, like, you can tell it becomes, like, a part of their personality. And I mean, that happens for all of us, right? We see something funny online, and then we show somebody else, and then they show the circle, and, like, we're all repeating the bit to each other and giggling along. And, like, that's how we do it. That's the humor for us, you know? The entertainment of the technology in the modern times with social media. But I also believe that it has an impact on people, because sometimes that's all of their personality. It sort of becomes like another escape. It's a form of escapism for people to not have to necessarily be thinking about things that could be burdening them, or, like, you know, they don't have to feel the weight on their shoulders. They can just knock it off and, like, escape and dissociate into this online media and just get absolutely consumed in, like, somebody else's life, or, like, how you want to portray your own life, or how you should have this be looking and presenting and whatever. For some people, they really can just be consumed in playing the social media games of it all, you know, to the point of where that's just their life. And you could see it in their personality, I feel, because it's not much, you know. I'm very much a quality over quantity type of person, to where I want you to have something authentic about you. I want you to be able to bring something to the table that is interesting, that is unique, that is just you. Because, you know, that's all we can do. I can be me, I can't be you. I could never be you. I could be like you. I could do things that you do, but when all is said and done, I'm gonna be me at the end of the day, you know? And when people aren't existing in that authentic state and just, copy pasting, regurgitating whatever they're finding online, I don't know, man, it's boring. It's boring. I can't with those types of people, like, I'll never outwardly be mean just for the sake of being mean, but also I'm not about to have you in my deep inner circle because, like, those people are real, authentic, unique, and interesting. Like, that's another thing I feel so much as an Aquarius is just, my mind needs to be stimulated. You need to be a little weird. You need to be a little odd. You need to be a little out there. You need to be a little different. I don't want same. I don't care about same. I've seen same 500 times. I don't care. It's something that will affect everybody differently, and everybody will have their own relationship with it, And for some people, it's really nice, checking in on the kids, see how they're doing, like, whatever, just a few minutes after dinner, whatever. But, like, some people really do it as their whole life, and I think that is when it gets dangerous. I think when the technology leads to addiction, technology is a new addiction. That's something else that my generation is growing up with. A new addiction. Technology. And it's just like with everything else that exists in existence. It's great in the balance of moderation, You could live absolutely without it. Or you could be someone who's, like, all consumed with it. And, it's that mentality of existing inside and not needing the outside. And bleh. We done been through that. But yeah, you could be that. And having that as an option, is a new experience. Is a new experience for the whole of humanity. And it's interesting too, because when I think about this scope of conversation of, like, the different ages and different generations and everything, each generation within that is having their own experience of relevance. Like Gen A, Gen Alpha, they're just one generation for me. But then you have Millennial, it's two, and, like, so on and so forth. But it's crazy to have, like, this experience of I am now bringing the awareness to the fact that I am growing to a point where I had something different in my youth than the generation before me. And I'm also noting the differences that today's youth are experiencing compared to, like, my own childhood and what I grew up on. Like, it's very interesting. So much of the world changes so fast, and we have such little control over it, that it's just so interesting to see what happens from generation to generation. And, like, each generation is going to have their own quirks and things about them. Like, my generation was in childhood when we went through the crash of '08. Like, we just had a different upbringing. We're the first generation to be, like, not making as much money as the generation prior. Struggling in the world of finances is very prevalent just throughout the entirety of our lives as Gen Z. So that's very interesting. Very unfortunate, we would all like to not be, but it's shaping us and molding us into being better people for ourselves for the future. Hopefully, maybe, probably. Ding! Like, damn. Oh, it's crazy. Also, since we're on this sort of, like, generations kick and talking about generations, I thought I would share with you the most widely believed superstition of each generation, ranging from the baby boomers to the Gen Alphas. So let's dig into their lore. Now, for the baby boomers, it was knock on wood. Okay, so the superstition was that after you made a sort of hopeful comment, or it's like, oh, wow, it's gonna be slow for the rest of the day, knock on wood. You would do 3 knocks, and that would chill out and make sure that you had the most positive outcome for the situation that you were speaking on. It was supposed to be like a little good luck type of thing. Now for Gen X, the belief was bad things come in threes. This was like widely popularized through like media, like social media, movies type beat, but it was like you had celebrity deaths that would occur in 3, and like the idea was that it wasn't something that was so random, but like when bad things started happening, there was actually a predictable pattern to them. Now for our millennials, the superstition was Mercury going retrograde causes chaos. Now, this was a belief that was widely popularized through the use of astrology apps, and, it giving you that information of what the planetary positionings are and what effects you can expect. Now, I don't know if I call that a superstition, because it's just mad facts, but you do you, boo. Now, my generation over here in Gen Z believed in the law of attraction and manifestation. Those were our superstitions that were widely used through TikTok videos and things like that, teaching you how to manifest, teaching you the law of attraction. What you put out is what you get back, that very karmic belief. If I want it, I'm gonna manifest it. Now, for these new kids, these little Gen Alphas, we're seeing angel numbers be their most believed in superstition. Now, the idea behind angel numbers is that if you see a repeating set of numbers like 111, 222, 444 is a really popular one, that it has a supernatural meaning and that it's your angels and spirit guides trying to communicate with you. Now, they've obviously been exposed to it through mass amounts of media and popularization of the modern age and the spiritualistic side of that through angel numbers, but that is their superstition. So yeah, that's just a little lore, a little exploration moment for the ages and all of those superstitious beliefs. And, some may be truer than others, but who's to say anyways? We love our generations. We love our elders. We love our babies. We love our people. What if I just never made eye contact with the camera again, huh? Okay. Alright, gang. I think we are getting ready to wrap this sitch up here. Even though I am feeling recovered and I am feeling fine, I have learned my very karmic lesson. I am not trying to push my luck anymore. I'm not trying to overdo it by yapping for hours on end here. But, I did just want to give you a little channeled message from Spirit and, just let you know that everything is happening for a reason. And nothing is pointless. And sometimes you aren't necessarily able to see the reason. Sometimes the reason's not for you. Sometimes you are the reason for somebody else. Maybe you have to teach somebody else a lesson. Maybe you have to be their inspiration. There are thousands of different perspectives that perceive you daily. And you impact each and every one of them in some different way. I'm hitting you with a little invisible string theory, but we'll deep dive on that later. You absolutely are a magnificent piece of existence, a piece of creation, and you have purpose, and everything that happens to you has purpose. It's important to remember that, because a lot of times we can really get wrapped up in the negativity of the day, the negativity of the conversation, the negativity of the moment. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, we are souls having a physical experience. We are spiritual beings here on this plane, on this earth, to have a physical experience, and that comes down to your connections and your relationships and your engagements with those around you, right? We're all actors, you know? You are the protagonist of your life through your perspective, and somebody else is going to be a villain. Somebody else is going to be a savior for you. And that is the intended connection that you have agreed upon to build the storyline for you to best be able to learn and to grow, to be who you truly are meant to be on this planet, you know, on your short little time here. So, you know, moral of the story, don't take it so seriously. You know, this kind of connects to that overthinking situation, the ruminating thoughts. What would you do if you didn't care? Do it. Whatever, however you think you would be behaving, if you just didn't give a shit, live that life. Live that life and just focus on that. Focus on the moment, be present, you know, do you, and just understand that everything is happening with intention and with purpose, and control what you can control. It's not much. It's not much, but shit, control what you can control, and at the end of the day, not my monkey, not my circus, baby. Okay? Not meant for me to be worried about. I'm not worried about it. I'm in my zone. I'm in my bubble. I'm in my circle. And that's what matters at the end of the day. So if you feel yourself getting stressed out, do a little 1-2, inhale, exhale, take a pause, take a breath, and realign, recenter yourself. But with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning back in to this very spontaneous episode of the Cosmic Crusade podcast. Don't forget to do your big one. Don't forget to get down there and that like and that subscribe and that comment. Do your thing. And until next time, peace and love.